And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. We just wrapped up with a very long series between Dark and Cure. Dark did come out on top, but now we are here with one of the lower matches, with the lower bracket matches instead. The losers matches, if you will, here in round number 2. Both Oliveira and Clem have been struggling a little bit. Yesterday, Clem did get knocked down by Maru, and Oliveira got knocked down by Dark. So now they have to face off against each other in a TvT. So they had a bit of a rocky start here in Master Coliseum, but we are looking to fight back. In a TvT, this could go either way. I know Clem is on fire. Clem is the ESL Masters Winter Champion. He has the best TvZ and the best TvP in the world. I will stand by that. But his TvT is where he does falter at times. It is where he can slip up. It is where Oliveira can force and cause an upset. Upsets, they are possible, and it is where Oliveira is going to be trying to come on in. We'll see if he can pull it off. We'll see if he can bring it back here as we get ready for our series, as we get ready for Game 1 on Solaris. Let's go. Let us go. Ooh. We have our Vitos. Game 1's going to be on Solaris. Game 2 on Alcyone. Game 3 on Oceanborn. Looks like, once again, the Vitos are pretty standard. We got rid of a lot of the more awkward maps, like Equilibrium and Riders of Station. We got rid of them, get them out of here. Again, instead, going for some of the more standard maps here in the map pool. The large one in Alcyone, a bit of a smaller one in Oceanborn, and here, down the middle, in Solaris. And we'll see if Oliveira is one to embrace the new Cyclone. We've seen Oliveira really pop off and be quite aggressive. We casted him earlier today in a TvT. In ESL Open Cup. In ESL Open Cup Asia, we casted Oliveira versus Bjorn, and Bjorn was able to break through again with Cyclones. As you can imagine, Cyclones are a big part of TvT nowadays, and we were able to take advantage of Oliveira with our openers. But here we go, we're getting his game number 1. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, representing CranKy Gaming, it is Oliveira. And spawning in the bottom left, we have the French Terran player, representing Team Liquid, Clem. And as we get ready for this, a big shout to the sponsors. Once again, Honkai Star, Taidu, Doyu, Oreful, and Pew Pew. Shout out to the sponsors for making this event happen, supporting WTL, Kung Fu Cup, Masters Coliseum. It is really cool to see the support, the love from all these lovely sponsors. As we are settling into this TvT, and we've been seeing a lot of TvT recently. We've been seeing a lot of Clem versus Maru versus Ryung versus Bjorn versus Kior. That's a lot of TvT with Clem. Oh boy, and we'll see if he can bounce back. Again, he did falter yesterday against Maru, but that's Maru. You know, it's the best Terran player and one of the best Terran players in Korea, arguably the best in Korea, arguably. Well, we'll see if Clem can bounce back here against Oliveira. For now, we are going for some mirrored builds. It's going to be double gas from Oliveira and double gas from Clem. Interesting. I would have thought that on a larger map like Solaris, we would have seen a player try to be economic and greedy, but that is not the case. Both players will be aggressive, going for faster factories. They are going to be going for faster factories instead, and we'll see. Oh, as there is going to be a bit of a pause here. Looks like there's a little bit of MS going on, a little bit of ping. Yes, okay, we're more than willing to wait to make sure it does clear up. We will be lying in wait here, and oh boy, I do see someone in the chat. Chunk, hello, asking, I'm sorry, but what is this? Oh, well, again, we just kind of dove into it. If you're unfamiliar, Masters Coliseum is a big premier event. It does bring together the best of the best players in the world. Players like Hero, MaxPax, Classic, Trigger, Bunny, Beyond, Clem, Cure, Maru, Dark, Several, Rainer, Shin, Solar. Again, the best of the best. Do duke it out. Players have been invited based on their performances in World Team League, in WTL, alongside events like Kung Fu Cup. So players were invited based on the biggest team league in StarCraft. Likewise, there were also qualifiers to allow one player from each region. We had a Classic from the Korean region, we had Rainer from Europe, we had Trigger from the Americas, and we had Firefly from the Asia region, from China. So we had one qualifier for each region, and everyone else was invited based on their performances this season. So just for to clear things up a little bit there. When it comes to how big this event is, there is over 40,000 USD as a prize pool. So a big prize pool. Again, it is a premier event to bring all these players together. It is a 1v1 tournament. And here we are in the group stage. I say the group stage, it's one big group. It is Swiss format, which is why the winners play winners, losers play losers. And here we go. We're diving back into game number 1. Diving back into game 1, and so far, again, mirrored builds. Both players did open up double gas. We have Oliveira going for the CC on the low ground, likewise so is Clem, so both players are going to be following each other's footsteps. A big difference here is that Oliveira's making an extra Reaper. Ooh, as we do see Clem forcing his way off the rope, he does shoot first! Phew. Does shoot first, but the wall is raised just in time. And Oliveira will hold. But he will delay his CC. The CC is going to be delayed on low ground, so a big pick off there by Clem. Meanwhile, Oliveira going to be going double Reaper into Hellion. Okay, a little bit more traditional out of Oliveira, going Hellion Reaper. Meanwhile, we do see Clem embracing the new patch, embracing the new era of TvT, making Cyclones. That is a reactor on the way. I believe that Clem is going to be going for an add-on swap to reactor out Cyclones from that factory. Meanwhile, both players working towards their starports as well. Typically, Clem does like going into a medevac first with his starport to go for some Cyclone harassments and a Cyclone drop follow-up. And there it is. There's that medevac on the way. So again, Clem, he's in love with being hyper-aggressive with these Cyclones in the early game of TvT. And it can be quite difficult to deal with. Like, this Cyclone job can get a lot done. There we go. We have 2 Cyclones. We go for the add-on swap, and we will be cranking out 2 more Cyclones at a time. Medevac is on the way, and Clem is looking to move out. Meanwhile, Oliveira is taking more defensive stance. He has an abundance of Hellions and Reapers, and Oliveira is going for, again, a more traditional form of TvT, going into Biotank. Now, that is, 5 Reapers and 3 Hellions. This is a pretty hefty army. The goal here is to break through. Oh, the drop was halfway across the map, which means we can get into the mineral line. SCVs will go down. A massive dive here from Oliveira, getting 2 SCVs so far. Cyclones have been dropped. Good juggling here from Clem, keeping the Cyclones alive. And now we have 4 Cyclones. We force this back. He will lose 5 workers, though. And what's important, even more so than the damage that was done, the fact that Clem had to turn back around. Clem, he had to delay his drop, had to race back home to defend. That means Oliveira has time to build up his tank count and build up his marine count. So a very successful push there from Oliveira. Gets 5 workers, which is nice. Oliveira has a 3-worker lead. More importantly, though, he's got tanks. Big tank volley already. Ooh, getting one of those Cyclones. At the same time, the Hellions, they come back in. They go for another dive into the natural base. SCVs are going to get picked off. Ooh, they do line up. He gets 2, he gets 3 SCVs and a mule. Good damage done here. At the same time, we drop into the main base. The Viking going ham on that medevac, and can we get it? It's going to be close. The medevac goes down, which means there is no way out for these Cyclones. There is no recall. There is no Nidus, no Dropper Lord, no medevac. It will fall. So Oliveira's in a really good position. He is ahead in the economy, and he shuts down the aggressive potential of Clem as he shuts down that medevac. Now suddenly Clem is in a bit of trouble. The onus is on him to bounce back. Now, this entire time, Clem has been reactoring out Cyclones. This entire time he's been making 2 Cyclones at a time over and over again, just cranking them out. 3rd CC is on the way, but Oliveira's is slightly faster, so Oliveira, he's got the faster 3rd, getting into Ravens, getting into his disables. Now, Clem, by committing this hard into all these Cyclones, he has potential. He has potential to catch the army in the center of the map, to trade quite well, to collapse on Oliveira. We'll see if he can do so. Something that Clem can't do is fight head-on. If he tries to push into that natural, there's a siege line waiting for him. I mean, I say he can't do it. It's difficult. He could, especially with these Ravens. Like, there's potential to disable. The goal here is for Clem to disable the tanks, and then we dive in. We'll see if he can pull it off. See if he can pull it off. I believe he has 7 Cyclones with the main army. He has those 2 Ravens ready. He's getting ready for that dive. Scans ahead of time, sees the positioning. Clem is thinking about it. You see him posturing here with his main army. Oliveira likewise has his own Marines, his own Cyclones in position. And Clem thinks better of it. Okay, so he pulls back with the Cyclones and he's harassing with Ravens instead. Wise choice. Does respect the army, throws down the auto turrets. Oh, with those turrets, he's going for the Ravens. Ravens almost get picked off. Cyclone in position, and we do get 2 SCVs. But the Ravens of Oliveira are kept safe, and I believe we did snipe 1 Raven. Yeah, 1 Raven went down. Good pick off from Oliveira, good defense. And suddenly, this also wasn't worth it for Clem. Bleeding out a Raven, getting 4 workers for it. Ravens are valuable. Like, energy-based units, they have so much potential, and to bleed out a Raven this early it's a little bit scary. Now, the plus side here is that Clem has map control. So even though Clem's third base was technically later and slower than his opponent's, he gets his third up. His third is up and running on location, and because of that, Clem has a worker lead. Oliveira is late to expand because he has a slower army. He has to push in slowly with his tanks, and now he gets his third base. So economically, Clem has recovered. Despite losing all those workers earlier, like Clem, he's looking good. Economically, at least. When it comes to the main army, I have to give the edge to Oliveira. Oliveira, he has an army that scales well into the mid-game. Bio tank scales beautifully into the mid-game. Cyclones, they fall off. So the longer this goes on, the less potential this army has. Oh, but Clem getting ready for a backstab. He spots the army moving right through the middle, which means he goes for a big counterattack into the natural, and Oliveira has very little at home to defend. And Oliveira goes back around. He doesn't. Okay. The next called big of boy. At this point, so much damage being dealt. He does deny the third, but Clem, he evacuated his third base. The third is not enough. Show us the third. Oh, big anti-armor missile. A big anti-armor missile in the army. Big disables as well here on the tanks. And Oliveira, we gotta go. We have to send it. Takes down 1 tank. Gets more disables off just barely. But there are so many tanks on the high ground. The boys are being pulled. And he's getting damage done, but Oliveira's being cleaned up. He's being cleaned up here. GG gets called, and Clem will take game number 1. Oh boy. GG, a very tense game there. Again, Clem was in a lot of trouble. So much was going against him. But that Cyclone backstab did win him the game, did force the all-in. And you can see Oliveira a little bit frustrated. Again, Oliveira was in a better position. He had a stronger start. You know, he was establishing his third base. He had a good army. Unfortunately, he was caught as he was moving out. And again, that was the move that had won Clem the game. If it wasn't for that, Clem would have been in a lot of trouble. If it wasn't for the backstab, Clem would have lost his third, he would have lost momentum, he would have been contained on 2 bases, and Oliveira would have taken a massive lead. But Clem, again, being very active. The Cyclone, winning Clem the game. And with that, we're getting into game number 2. Now, what is scary here is the best of 3. Very little room for error. Oliveira has to fight back here and now to force the ace match. And even then, it's not going to be easy here against Clem. Here we go. Robot light? Oh no. Smash. Hopefully, it's cleared up. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Hopefully, everything is okay. As we are getting ready for the next game. We are going to be getting ready. Hopefully it wasn't like during a big fight or anything like that. Fingers crossed. As we are getting ready for game number 2 on Alcyon, and here we go. We're diving on in and spawning in the bottom of the head corner. We have the the Chinese Terran player. It is Oliveira for DKZ. And in the top right, we have the red French player for Team Liquid. It is Clem, our reigning ESL Masters Winter Champion. And ooh, Oliveira. Where are we going? Where are we headed, Papi? As the SCV is going to be moving out towards the left-hand side. And we are looking for a Proxy Rax. Let's go. So Proxy Rax is going to be thrown down. Now, I believe there's only one SCV on the map. So it looks like a 2 racks opener here from Oliveira. It looks like 1 racks is going to be proxied, and the other racks is going to be back at home. That's typically how this goes, but we'll see. The other thing this could be, because we're taking 2 gases, if we don't throw down a second racks and we're not, this could be Proxy Marauder, which is a little bit outdated, but not unheard of in TvT. So I'm very curious, as we don't have a second rack. So do we throw down the tech lab? Show us what you got, Oliveira. Show us what you got. As I don't think that's a good position for a tech lab, actually, because of that gas geyser. And there it is. Yeah, we have to reposition, but there it is. It is Proxy Marauder. So as soon as we noticed that there wasn't a second racks, it's like, I mean, the only thing it could be is Proxy Marauder. So as we mentioned, this is a bit outdated. This was very trendy last year, like at the start of like over a year ago. This was really trendy. We saw Clem use it a lot, actually. A lot of the Koreans would mix it in as well. So really cool to see this again after quite some time in TvT. And there it is, Marauders are on the way. So the goal here is with Proxy Marauders, you can actually snowball quite well if you can catch the Reaper, if you can if you can catch the Hellions, but we scout the Proxy. Clem, he sees, and Oliveira, his heart must be sinking a little bit here. The surprise factor is gone. Bunker is on the way. Clem getting ready on the high ground. He did not go for an economic opener. That is what Oliveira was hoping for. He was hoping for a Rax expand. That is not what we got. Aye, aye, aye. You see Oliveira going to be pulling back. Still amassing his own Marauders. Meanwhile, Reaper slips into the main base, and we can delay this depot. We can pick off some SCVs. Cyclone is in production, but damage is being done. Oliveira, we got to go. We got to go up that ramp. We got to somehow bust in. But there's a bunker. There's already a bunker in position. There's no busting for Oliveira. You can see him sigh there on cams, not happy about the situation. 3 SCVs go down. We're going to get a 4th, potentially a 4th worker. Yeah, it's going to fall as well. Cyclone will arrive and we'll clean this up, but this is a rough start for Oliveira. The Proxy Marauder did nothing. The investment into Concussive Shell didn't do anything. And Oliveira, he's just behind. He is just behind at this point. Oof. Can we bounce back? As we try to gain some high ground vision here with that Rex. Did he get some hits in? Oh, we do pick off a Cyclone. Nice pick off there from Oliveira. Good start. Clem being a little bit too cavalier there with his control. Oh. As it looks like he loses a 2nd Cyclone. Not bad, yeah. You can see Clem shaking his head. He had some miscontrol earlier, and as a result, Oliveira, he's gaining some value, which is really important here. Like, Oliveira is behind, and he needs something to go his way. And this is something, you know? 2 Cyclones, a depot. Oh, God. But the Reaper comes back in. We delay the racks. Oh, we're getting more SCV kills as well. Oliveira going for a drop into the main with his medevacs. Get some damage done on the medevac of his opponent. Pushing further in. He can, of course, juggle the Marauders into the main base as well. Boys are going to have to be pulled. Deeper going to be falling. Oliveira, he's gaining ground. This is going to be a tight hold here for Clem. He's got 2 more Cyclones on the way. Good juggling. Does break the lock-ons. Does avoid some of those shots. And additional Cyclones have arrived. It looks like Clemmy will force this back. Just barely. And now we can expand. And again, Clemmy's up, what, 8 SCVs? He's up 8 workers right now, landing his natural base. Meanwhile, Oliveira's is still being morphed into an orbital. Clem is still ahead. Which is why stuff like this is necessary. Yeah, we land the racks, we have to delay for as long as we can. We need to slow Clem down. Banshee's on the way. Let's go. Cloak Banshees at that. Oliveira doing everything he can. Can we pull it off? Can we bring it back? Let's Do have that CC on the way. Third CC here for Oliveira. So getting into a very fast third base again to try to bounce back. Slipping in towards the natural. And Clem won't be able to achieve too much here. But he does find the Banshee. That was a Hail Mary play from Oliveira, going for the Cloak Banshee, but it gets shut down. He gets 2 SCVs, which is okay. It's something, but not worth a Banshee, not worth Cloak. Second Banshee gets caught out as well. We get the scan. Oof. Yeah, not great here for Oliveira. Again, you can see him just sigh a little bit there on cams. Looking a little bit sad. And now we're coming in with the disable. Sorry, we're coming in with the auto turrets. Bunker's gonna get knocked down. We're getting on top of the tanks as well. And both tanks fall. Big pickoffs. I'm achieving quite a lot. Can we bounce back? Can we bring it back here? I mean, there's always, in TvT, there's always like drop play. There's always like outpositioning your opponent with tanks. Like there's always a way back in TvT. But it's still not going to be easy here for Oliveira. Got 1-1 on the way. Third CC finishing up here for Clem as well. And the game is going to be settling for a moment as kind of the aggression is subsiding. Both players just building themselves up. Clem still has quite a hefty lead. And again, the onus is on Oliveira. In a way, like there's always a chance that maybe Clem overextends when he pushes in, and maybe Oliveira can take a good fight defensively. But more often than not, Oliveira needs to be proactive here. And he's been trying to be, right? It's like that's why he went for the Cloak Banshees. And it didn't work. That's it. Fell on its face. There, he has been trying. Here we go. We go for the scan. We get eyes on the army. Ooh, big disable here on the tank. The Cyclone is just wreaking havoc here, but another tank does arrive in time. Oliveira holds. At the same time, Marines drop into the main base. It's not even stim, by the way. Vanilla Marines. But we are denying mining time. More workers getting picked up. We just pulling Oliveira apart. Cyclones, they do arrive in the main. Gonna be able to clean this up. Clean up most of the Marines, but the auto turret harass. Again, left and right. More worker damage. Leave Oliveira alone. He's just trying desperately to stabilize. He's down 18 workers. He has a decent tank count at least, especially because Clem has been building up a Cyclone-based army. Like Oliveira, he has a higher tank count overall, if I'm not mistaken. So there is potential there. But outside of those tanks, Clem, he has plenty to work with, and he never has to fight head on. He can always just go for a drop play and try to pick apart Oliveira left and right, dropping into the main, dropping into the natural. As Clem, he's just taking a fourth. Just taking his lead and running with it. More than happy to. More than happy to. 4cc on location as well. Which is a little bit wild. We're going to try and punish it. Ooh, as we do get some big disables off here. GG gets called. Oliveira doesn't even have a big fight. Just knows he's too far behind. And Clem will take the series 2-0. GG. My condolences to Oliveira. That was a rough game. That was like game 1 was more back and forth, but here game number 2 was it was just a brutal start. To commit to a proxy marauder, for it to be shut down, for the Banshees to be shut down, like it was Nothing was going right. Nothing was going right there for Oliveira. Clem does take the 2-0. Clem redeems himself by winning a series here in Masters Coliseum. He's still in this, and Oliveira having a rough time in Masters Coliseum here on the flip side. Meanwhile, we're going to be going in a short break. We have one series left, the final series of the night. It is going to be Bjorn versus Rainer. A juicy TvZ. We'll see you guys after the break.